It's Porkleg here. I'm with Andrea Hanwell, who is a lady I'm delighted to be meeting because some time ago I was in the Cathedral Green to see a helicopter, a rescue air ambulance, actually ascending into the sky, and I'd heard that there was a lady that had been knocked down in Sadler Street. I heard later on through rumour that she'd died, but the lady I'm talking about is not dead. She's here with me.
I'm very much alive.
Absolutely. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that day?
Yes, it was August the 4th, so exactly a year next week. And my eldest, Daniel, had come from Staines to see his sister Naomi, who lives at Pressley, and they were on the way home. So we stopped in the marketplace and had a coffee, and then he said, well, we'll get the kids a flapjack for on the way home. So we walked across Sadler Street and they walked between a parked car and a big white van. My son, wife and 2 grandchildren walked through. I followed them. And as I almost got through, a car coming down Sadler Street to park, an old gentleman driving, he parked, backed up, and as he came forward, he slammed his foot on the accelerator instead of the brake, crashed into the white van, which shunted forward and trapped me between the two. And as they say, I literally didn't know what had hit me. So I managed to squeeze myself through, and then I was just so consumed with pain, I obviously screamed. Everybody seems to have heard me. My son came out of the flapjack shop, and by this time someone had found me a chair, sat me down. This lovely lady was stroking my forehead saying, "You'll be all right, you're doing really well, and the ambulance is on its way." My son was shouting at me saying, "Please, Mum, don't close your eyes. Please don't go to sleep. Open your eyes, Mum." So I was very fortunate. The ambulance was there within minutes, and I was being tended to, and the next thing was I was told the air ambulance were coming. By this time, I was hardly compos mentis anyway. I was drifting in and out of consciousness. Then all I remember is this lovely waft of fresh air on my face. I heard the whir of the helicopter, and that was it. The thought now that my children, because they all went back to Naomi's at Pressley, my children and grandchildren, sitting round the kitchen table waiting to hear if I survived, that still gets to me. But anyway, I was taken off with suspected fracture of the femur and pelvis, and miraculously I had nothing broken. But I was, but I didn't realise until afterwards, because I've subsequently met the air ambulance crew, and I was given 20% chance of survival. And they said they nearly lost me twice, but the second time I rallied. So I think that's
that Yorkshire spirit.
That's a bit of Yorkshire spirit. I hope so. I think at that point I'm only going by what my eldest granddaughter said, Blossom, and she said, "I called out to you, Grandma." That was when they were taking me off, and whether it was that, but I was conscious of the fact, because I'd only lost my husband 6 months earlier, and to be honest, I was quite calm. I thought I was dying, and I thought, it's all right. Jim's on the other side. It'll be all right. And then I can remember thinking, not yet.
That's excellent. Well, the Wells grapevine had come through to me, and it's the first time I've met you, but I'd heard you only had a 20% chance, and then somebody must have said that you died, and I was quite sad about that. And especially as an innocence, I was filming the air ambulance at the time.
Yeah, what coincidence is that?
And it's a strange coincidence, because I know that you know Rod Major, the funeral director for Wells Funeral Services on the market, and everybody chats to him. But he's discovered, and he's introduced me to you, he's actually discovered that you have a background in the funeral business back in Yorkshire. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, I do. I'm from South Yorkshire, and my father was the 3rd generation of builders, joiners, funeral directors. Sadly, he died at 52, leaving my mother a young widow at 45. I just left school and was about to go to music college. I had a brother 14 and a brother 7. And the firm by this time had been going 97 years.
Wow.
So my mum, in honour of my father and his family, decided that she would keep the family business going for another 3 years, which she did. And in fact, it was so popular then, she couldn't give it up when she wanted to. But in those days, it's quite different from what it is now. In those days, people had a coffin board taken to them, and they laid out, some of the neighbours would lay out the deceased, and they would be left in the front room. I'm talking now, 1960?
And you say a coffin board, was that just a board or was that a coffin itself?
No, it was a board in the shape of a coffin.
Ah, right.
So that you laid people out, so I suppose that it would fit them into the dimensions of what the coffin was going to be. And yes, there was one occasion, I mean, I went with Mum several times to take the coffin board out, but on one occasion it was winter, ice was on the ground. About 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning we had this call, "Oh, could you bring the coffin board round, love?" And so, yeah, Mum and I got up, got the coffin board in the van. It was we lived in a small village. It was on a council estate. We got on the council estate, we found out, and then Mum said to me, what number did they say it was? At this point, I got the giggles, thinking, how ludicrous is this, you know? And I said, and she didn't think it was funny, which made it all the more funny for me. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I go around knocking on the doors and saying, can you use this? It wasn't, but, you know, death is part of life. This is what happens. And yes, thanks to my mum, who I have to say, put all 3 of us through music college. My brothers and I, they followed me to the Royal College of Music in Manchester, now the Royal Northern.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you taught, did you teach music?
I
you went
did.
into teaching?
I did. My brother came down here as a chorister at Wells Cathedral School when he was 11. He came in the January that he was 11.
And what was his name?
Daniel.
Daniel.
Same as my father and great-grandfather. And so he was a chorister here, played the double bass, finished out most of his career in the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra as a bass player. But I came down here because in those days, we're talking now 1964, there weren't all the motorways there are today, and to get from Wells back to South Yorkshire was a 6-hour drive. So I came down and got a job at St Audrey's School, so I could look after my little brother. And then eventually I finished up teaching at Millfield for 25 years. I taught at Sunnyhill Cathedral School and then Millfield for 25 years. And the lovely thing is, my husband, Jim Hanwell, who died in the January 2021, he had Parkinson's and I was his sole carer for 5 or 6 years. But my brother, when he retired in Liverpool, he came down every month and gave me a week or 10 days to help me. He loved Wells, and he would come. His wife was working, his children had gone to uni, so he would come and help me. So my coming down here to be with him resulted in him coming and being with Jim and I, which was wonderful.
That's a lovely story.
Yeah.
Lovely story.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.